swimming area.
Yeah.
And you go there and give them a quarter or something and go swimming.
Did you ever sing shows there?
I think when I was with the MC5,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we played there.
Yeah, quite a bit. Cool.
But I was already, you see, I left Davison in 1959.
Okay.
To go to college, and then I left 2 years later when I moved into Flint. I just left there for good. So. But it was so estranged from Davison for so many years that in 2005, 6, after the flood in New Orleans, a dear friend from New Orleans, the keyboard player named Mark Adams, who's from Davison,
Okay.
had fled there with his family to stay with his family. And he met these musicians and they put on the Davison Blues Festival.
Oh, cool.
And a moronic gathering, you know. And he invited me to be part of it. And I said, man, and to MC. I said, man, that would be a thrill. So I took my daughter, Sunny, and she was 40 then. And she had never been to my hometown.
It's still
So that's how
weird.
estranged I was. You know?
it's still a little place.
I went to my 30th high school reunion. That was kids. Most of the people were still there. I was part of a group of 12 that had their picture taken because we went through all 12 grades together in the same building.
Yeah, at Central.
Boy, that was in the old days. Yeah, we started at one end and came out the other. Like a Buick, you're right. Chevrolet.
Thank you.
Man, thank you, neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, oh,
Question, when did you work for GM?
when did I work for GM, man? In the summer of 1960. That was my first year of college at Albion, had been completed, and my dad pulled some strings. So I guess you could do it those days, and he got me a job on the assembly line at Buick for the summer. I worked for 89 days. Because you worked for 90, they had to make you a union employee, and then you had rights. Unlike today's world, after they stamped out most of the unions. So I was there 89 days in the summer of 1960. I guess it was. I could be wrong. We'll have to check with the NSA. They know everything.
Question here and then up there.
Will you talk a little bit about your leadership as in the White Panther Party?
Wow. Well, you know, it made me, I was thinking that I left out a big part of my experience. So that's a good door. Well, you know, I got interested in the civil rights movement when I was a freshman at Albion College, and I read a book called The Black Muslims in America by C. Eric Lincoln. And I became a follower of Malcolm X. I thought Malcolm X was the greatest guy in America. Maybe Miles Davis was greater. But politically, certainly. And I was fascinated by the black Muslims and their, you know, they weren't really a civil rights group. They wanted to create power for black people using Islam as a guide, what do you call it, as their guide. And I thought, when I read the preachments of Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I thought, man, he doesn't know the half of it. Because I knew what white people were really like because I was one and I lived with them. So even as ugly as they might get, you don't really know how bad they are until you're drinking beer with them somewhere, you know? Hunting some pheasants, you know? And then you really get the full scope of their hatred for people who aren't like them, especially if they're darker complected. So this fascinated me. And I had a pivotal experience in life in Flint at the IMA auditorium. And I wish I could tell you what year it was, but it was before 1963. And they had a national convention or meeting of the black Muslims in America at the IMA auditorium, and Elijah Muhammad himself was there, Malcolm X was there, Louis Farrakhan was there when he was still known as Louis X, and he was like a calypso singer. Yeah. And they had a brouhaha with the Flint Police Department because they wouldn't allow anyone at any of their meetings. They said it was a peaceful organization, our meetings are peaceful, and we don't allow any weapons at any of our religious gatherings. Just no way you could come in with weapons. No, it would bollocks up the whole thing if somebody was in here with a weapon. Well, the police said, well, we demand to come in and see if any subversive activities are going on in here. And of course, we'll be heavily armed. And they said, well, no, we can't have that. And so they went back and forth. And they went ahead with the meeting. Geez, I'll never forget this as long as I live. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was at the podium giving the keynote speech of this thing. There were 3,000 people that had come from all over America. There was a parking lot full of buses from Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta. People had come from all over. This is really a big deal. And in the middle of his speech, someone came up and whispered in his ear, and he said, I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself. Malcolm X had already given the introductory speech, the formal speech, to introduce the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so Muhammad said, well, these police, they're demanding to come in here with their weapons, and we can't have this, and we're going to have to go negotiate further. And this might have to stop because we can't allow this. And so he went to talk, presumably to talk with the police, and Malcolm X got up. I'll never forget this. And he stood in front of the podium like this. And he leaned on the podium like the hipster that he was. And he gave a running commentary on what was happening, where he explained this in great, meticulous detail, what all this meant, and what we used to call, he broke it down for us. And then Elijah Muhammad came back out and he had to say, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, but the police are insisting on coming in with weapons, and our principles and our religious beliefs don't allow us to meet in a facility where there are weapons. So we're going to have to end this right now. I'm sorry. Bye, everybody. Man, these 3,000 people got up and marched out with great precision and went back to their buses, and it was all over. I've never seen anything in my life that was such a principled act in public by people. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it just totally blew my mind. What a thing. To believe in what you believe in so hard that you'll end it'd be like Santa Claus came in drunk or something. You had to send him home. You know? Christmas was over. You know what I mean? It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And this set a standard for me of principle. It really inspired me in life to be able to do things like I did in standing up to the marijuana laws, which I felt in my religion, these were equally ugly as armed police at your church, you know. Why now, you know, they got, you know, the Starbucks is trying to tell people they don't want them to be armed in their coffee shop. I mean, it's kind of the same. Problems are still the same, you know. But this was and also when I was at Flint Junior College and here at the U of M Flint, I got involved in the civil rights movement per se. I joined the youth council of the Flint NAACP and also the youth group of the Urban League, Flint Urban League. And I had another epiphany when I was a member of these groups because one time we had a protest at the Grand Blanc roller rink. Someone had reported that they wouldn't let black people in to skate. So we went out there and they let us in. And we had to roller skate. And to me, it was like, okay, be careful what you ask for. Because the last thing in the world I wanted to do was roller skate. So I wasn't much of a protester after that because you didn't know what they might do to mess you up, you know. But I developed this concept of creating a different behavior forms and patterns, and that the way you would protest against the system was to not be like that. That if you didn't believe in war, don't be joining the army, you know. Don't have a weapon, you know. If you believed in peace, be peaceful toward others. If you believed in open-mindedness and tolerance, be tolerant and open-minded with everyone that you met. The peyote help was this good. But these were the precepts on which I conducted myself after that. The White Panther Party was in November of 1968. I was residing in Ann Arbor. I worked with a band called the MC5 out of Detroit. We fled Detroit and moved to Ann Arbor because we were constantly harassed by the police, not only for being potheads, but just for having long hair and playing loud music and looking weird, you know. Rock and roll now, of course, is one of the keystone bricks of oppression and keeping people stupid, you know. But in those days, it was illegal, and they didn't like it. We wanted to play a free concert in a park for a bunch of hippies. That was like a declaration of war. And they would hound you